Hello everyone, thank you very much for joining me on this yet another really interesting debate. We are going to talk about social media in today's conversation, which is a really interesting topic. Before we begin, there's a really serious announcement which is going to happen towards the end of this session, so stay tuned towards the end of this entire bulletin. Now let me welcome you, today's guest. He's a very interesting person, and he's none other than Ank from ANKMOVINGARTS. Now, Ank, he's a filmmaker, he's an artist, and he's also an emerging social media influencer. Hi, thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to be on this discussion. It's a really important one, and I would just like to make one thing clear about myself. So, I am a filmmaker and I'm also an artist, but I would like to deassociate myself from the term influencer. I'm not an influencer. I'm not at that stage. I don't want to be in that particular position because I just feel like it's not the right thing for me to do, to influence people, to manipulate them in a certain way, which might or might not be good for us, for the society in general. And that's why we are here. We are going to discuss about social media, which is quite a trending topic. Everyone would like to discuss about it. Everyone is on it, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, all sorts of ideas we're just gonna exchange here. And I'm really excited about it. What do you think about the social media in general? Well, the initial idea of social media was to, collect people as a society or as a community, and then, give them a platform, which was a really brilliant idea. But then in the recent years, you're seeing that there's an influx of a lot of influencers, people who are trying to make it big on these social media channels, which is great. It's a great opportunity to make this world a better place. What's your stand on social media influencers and the current trends which are going on right now? Like the way our society has been developed. Like when I say a lot of people, when they are doing something, they have a motive. Like I was saying before, everyone wants to follow the trend and everyone wants to know about the algorithm, how does it work? Or, I want to make content which is going to trend and I become so popular, I become rich, I'll get this brand and that brand. I mean, I hate things which are trending because mostly the negative things are trending on social media or in the general media if you look around. So that shouldn't be the idea. The idea should be like, okay, I want to make something that's going to add up to this world, Like most people are like, okay, I'm gonna do this. They have no conscience. They have no belief in itself. They're just doing it for, sometimes for fame, sometimes for money, and that's very, very, dangerous in so many ways. It's just appalling. You should have your own idea what you want to do, and then just follow it. Because for example, like, there's a lot of people who are just talking about themselves, like, okay, I have had a rough life, or I worked so hard for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, and I've been working in this particular place, and it's so dark and it's so negative, and I'm pushing hard and this and that. Well, probably you are working hard. There's no denial about that. But it's not the most difficult life. I can say it because, for example, last year I was in Kolkata. There's a place called Sonargashi in West Bengal in India. So I was there during the Durga Puja festival. It's like one of the biggest festivals in the country, and if you visit this place, Sonargashi, it's like there's a lot of women. I wouldn't say these are women. These are like the teenagers, 16, 17, 18 years old girls who are, they are prostitutes, and they're doing it for like $8 and $10. Their life is tough, man. That life is really tough. You don't see them smiling. They don't smile. They don't laugh. You can't even get a glimpse of happiness or joyfulness in their eyes. It's so gloomy and it's so dark, It's like on one side, the standardized, the modern version of our society is celebrating, and on the other side, we have these girls, like, these are so young girls, no one talks about them. They are having a rough time, but they don't complain, they have no voice. And then on the other side, I remember I met a guy in Belgrade, Serbia last year. We were sitting in a cafe and I had a really important meeting on that day. And then we were like 4 or 5 people. One random guy joined us and he could speak 5 different languages. He's self-taught and he works as a motivational speaker, and he's also an online business teacher. Now, you would say, what is so great about it? Well, the person is blind. He can see. He was born as a blind person, and he self-taught, 4 different languages. He's a native Serbian, but he speaks English. He speaks some different languages, which is outstanding. And all this time, I didn't hear anything which he was complaining about. He was so nice and he was so confident. One of the most confident people I've ever met in my life. So there are people, like, I'm not denying the world is so dark. It's a dark and it's not so kind and a very unhumble kind of place. But then there are people who are living in the same space and they have had problems and they're trying to come out of it. Some have already made it. Same way I was, like this year I was in, I was going to the Everest base camp, and when I started from Sullery, I went to Lukla, which is a very major spot where people usually start from. And then they were constructing kind of a building, and then I saw a woman. The woman was like really, really old, almost like my grandmother's age, maybe 75 or 80 years old, I'm not sure. And I saw her carrying a basket on her back, a basket full of bricks. And she's taking all the way from first floor to the 4th floor. I've seen her 2 or 3 times, and I was just stood there. I decided to go to the nearby kind of small time cafe, and I was just so amazed to see this woman who's like Jesus, like she's so old and she's still being so efficient. And later on, I got so curious and I started asking people about this person. As a filmmaker, you always search for such kind of stories, and then you realize that this woman has 2 grandchildren and a mentally retarded, a daughter-in-law. So she's the only person who's actually earning. And life is tough, man. For these people, you don't hear. She doesn't have time to talk to me or talk to anyone because the guy who's on the top, I'm not sure, the supervisor or someone, he's an asshole. He doesn't let others talk because he might be treating them really badly. Like, people are going through a really rough time. And these people have real struggles, not like others who sit in a house because your wife has provided it, your husband has provided, you have a boyfriend who's taking care of your parents, or you already have all kinds of money in this world. You don't have to worry about anything. And then you say, okay, my life has been so difficult and so tough. No, there are people who have such kind of life. They don't say because they don't have the voice. Life is bad, man. It's violent and it's cruel in so many ways. But then there are people like you and I, and there are people who are having an absolute worst life, and probably they don't have the opportunity, or at least right away they don't have the platform to come up and become something or say something about their struggles. But they have great amount of endurance, which makes life beautiful, because when I see them, I'm like, that's just tremendous. I don't have that kind of courage, probably. I don't have that kind of, idea about life that I can keep on pushing by having absolutely no sense of what success looks like. Ankle, I just love your concept. Let me tell you, they are really different from others. Some I may agree and some I might not, but that's a completely different story. But let me ask you a really direct question. So, do you find yourself or the society in general responsible for such a culture? We are collectively responsible for it because we have created a society. For example, we never ask questions. Asking questions is far more important than the answers. We never ask questions from our parents. We never ask questions from friends, from mentor, from our educational system. Even the monks, I've spent time with them in India, in Nepal. And some of them, they just don't make any sense to me. They have no sense of belief, like it's like they have been brainwashed or something. I'm not saying about everyone else, it's just my personal experience. A lot of them are very egoistic about not having an ego. They think that they have some sort of enlightenment or some sort of upper wisdom which is separating them from the rest of the world. But well, you're not being so kind, and you're being diplomatic. I met a guy at Copen. He was very diplomatic monk, and I don't remember if I've seen a lot of people who were as pretentious as him. So we need to ask questions. Same with our educational system, which is creating robots to go to work every morning, come back, sleep, and repeat the same. You don't ask questions you shouldn't ask. And people who have been asking questions, they are just being ignored, or they are being given a label that, okay, this person is crazy, or this person is just, they have been outcast by the society. But we need to ask questions. We need to put everything in a way that, okay, does it fit my belief? Or is it relevant, or it's just making no sense to me and I'm still believing it because my parents told me probably, or my culture or my traditions are responsible for making me this person. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry to cut you off. I have to ask you this one. This sounds interesting. So how do I know if I'm doing great in life? I mean, what sort of parameter do I use? What's the range? Well, I say if you really feel like you are doing something great in your life, or you feel like I have achieved something or I've done something immense, I would say just sit in a quiet room and think about it. Are you really doing it? Or it's just some kind of ego which is boosting and making you feel like that? Because if you really sit around in a quiet room, you probably get the answer that, okay, maybe I'm a hardworking person. You are. We all are. You're not alone, and I'm not alone. We all are hardworking individuals, especially if you come from a middle-class family. But then you realize that, okay, maybe I'm talking too much about myself. But have I done something which really stretches my limits? Like you have all the comfort in your life, and then you say, okay, I've done great amount of deal. No. I mean, I used to have a friend who got a great opportunity. She was about to make a film for the film festivals, and she has all kinds of crew members for free. But then later on, she decided not to do it. She decided to go on her own and trying to find some work in some other cities, which was outstanding. I think that was so courageous. But then later on, she gave up on that idea too. And then it's like you are betraying yourself just to find more comfort, because she went back to the same place. She quit. And then just to feel more safe and secure and comfortable. Now, this is the problem with our society. People give up so quickly. You need to be so familiar with the unfamiliar. You need to go out of your comfort zone, and then you have to tackle the world, and that's where the success lies. What would you like to say to the audience who are listening to you? Like, do you really have a message to convey to the audience? Well, I would say if you really want to be an asshole, be an absolute asshole. Just go for it. Like, just don't be a pretentious one, be a real one. Just go out there and tell people that, okay, you are wrong. The way things are going on, it's not right. Tell the governments that they are doing wrong. Tell your parents, I may not support this idea of yours. The educational system is just creating robots, and I don't like the idea of it too. Be a real asshole. Like, tell people, scare them that the way things are going on, it will not continue for too long. And that's where you find the greatness in yourself. It's not out there being a big time celebrity or influencer or social media person or actor or movie star or something. It's right in there. When you do something like this, you feel like, okay, I've achieved something. And you don't need 10,000 people to tell you that, okay, you're doing great in your life. Give voice to the voiceless. Otherwise, who cares for some prostitute or someone who's just picking up bricks? That's just a regular life for a lot of people, and that's just terrible. You have a great opportunity. You should just use it. You have a platform. You have a voice. You have people whom you can reach to. You probably know a lot of people who have influences. They can reach out to these people and help them and make their burden a little less. And And that's a very great achievement in itself. Not too many would have. For them, having a car is great, a nice house, and the Rolex which tell them, okay, it's time to go to work is enough, and a husband and a wife, beautiful kids. That's not exactly life. You should do something about the world, because even they are not happy. That's why people ask, okay, I have everything, why I'm not happy? You're not doing anything for anyone else. You're just looking to yourself and saying, I've done everything, I've achieved everything, why there is no happiness in my life? Because that's the social norm of doing something or achieving something. That definition doesn't really fit. So make a change in this world. Ask questions. Do something about it. Well, that was Ank from ANKMOVINGARTS, and that was quite an intense conversation. I really enjoyed it. Once again, there are aspects which I really agreed upon, but rest, I just hold my own opinions on that without any, disrespect. But that was a great conversation. Now here comes the important announcement I promised towards the beginning of this session. Now Stream Elements is looking for the next brand ambassador, someone who can help them to, reach to so many big brands. For example, you could get an endorsement, a sponsorship, or simply a nice deal, collaboration with brands such as HBO, ExpressVPN, and there are so many. Obviously, it's a great opportunity if you're an outstanding content creator or a YouTuber, and you can really encash some really good opportunities in this way. Now, there are certain guidelines, there are certain criteria to become part of this program. Now, first of all, your channel needs to be in English. Your content should be in English. There's no other language. Not right now, it's not available. And then second, majority of the videos should be properly shot videos. Now, you could be a cinematic storyteller, or you could have great content on your side. It could be fashion related, it could be related to travel. There should be something standard about it. And then the content creator should be based out of the US, Canada, Europe, Australia. So if you're a content creator from all these places, you could join absolutely. And the last criteria is, you should upload at least one video on your channel, and your video should have a reach of at least 10,000 views. So if you have that kind of viewership, probably you would end up getting a really nice deal. So check out the description in the link and go for it. Try it out. Probably you could become the next big thing on YouTube or on social media. Once again, keep creating and keep enjoying what you really love. Make a story, just like Ank said. Make a difference in someone's life, make a difference in your life, your family, your community, the entire world. Why not? We are here. And with that being said, see you in the next debate. Looking forward to it. Have a good one, guys.